At midnight, the warmth beside me suddenly vanished. I opened my eyes and saw only Ryan quietly closing the door behind him. The phone screen lit up. It was a message he just sent. Baby, feeling a bit unwell, heading to the hospital. Huh, hospital? I got out of bed barefoot, grabbed my coat, and followed him out. Some lies are far more interesting to uncover than their outcomes. At midnight, the warmth beside me suddenly vanished. I opened my eyes and caught only a blurred silhouette of Ryan in the darkness as he tiptoed to close the bedroom door. Almost at the same time, my phone screen lit up. Baby, I'm feeling a bit unwell, going to the hospital. Don't worry about me, just sleep. From Ryan. Hospital? I raised an eyebrow and smiled silently. What a little liar. Just a few minutes ago, he was pretending to sleep in my arms, breathing as evenly as a baby, and now he says he's unwell and going to the hospital? Curiosity scratched at my heart like a cat's claw. I wanted to see what kind of trick he was hiding up his sleeve. I didn't turn on the light, walked barefoot to the cloakroom, grabbed a jacket at random, and slipped out silently. In the shadows beneath the apartment building, Ryan's flashy sports car engine growled to life, then shot into the night like an arrow released from a bow. The direction was nowhere near the hospital. I started my own car and followed at a steady, unhurried pace. 15 minutes later, Ryan's car stopped in front of the busiest nightclub in the city center. Neon lights flickered, and the heavy metal music could be faintly heard from several blocks away. Hospital? I found a hidden spot to park the car, put on my hood, pulled the brim low, and blended into the noisy crowd as I walked into the bar. Deafening music, writhing crowd, the air filled with the scent of alcohol and hormones. I spotted Ryan right in the center of the dance floor at a glance. Does he look even a bit uncomfortable? He took off the well-behaved jacket I bought for him, revealing the black tight vest underneath that outlined his smooth muscle lines. He twisted wildly to the music, sweat soaking his forehead and hair, his eyes dazed yet excited, completely different from the innocent college student look he usually shows me. A few hot girls surrounded him, screaming and rubbing against him. I leaned against the bar, ordered the strongest drink, and watched his performance with cold eyes. Not long after, he seemed to have tired of playing and walked over to the booth arm in arm with a man wearing a floral shirt. Not far away, I could vaguely hear their conversation. Ryan, not bad. You managed to get your hands on Sterling's ex-president's wife so quickly? The man in the floral shirt said with a suggestive tone. Ryan took a big gulp of wine and laughed proudly. Evelyn? She's alright. Mainly, it's despite that hypocrite Ethan Sterling. Zenith Corp and Sterling Enterprises have been at odds for so long. And your move to cut off their lifeline is ruthless, stealing the rival's ex-wife. Ethan's probably green with envy. Huh? He deserved it. Ryan's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. Just like how Sterling snatched our Zenith project back then. I'm making sure he doesn't have it easy. Besides, a woman like Evelyn, who seems so high and mighty. Actually, his words were drowned out by louder music, but I had already heard enough. Zenith Corp. I tightened my fingers around the wine glass. I took out my phone, my fingertips swiftly scrolling across the screen. Search engines don't lie. Ryan Thompson, the sole heir of Zenith Corp. Zenith Corp and Ethan Sterling Enterprises have been longtime rivals in the business world. So, getting close to me was to get back at Ethan? Stealing the ex-wife of your rival does sound pretty thrilling. No wonder he never asks about my past. Nor does he mention his own family background, only playing the role of a homeless little pity case who needs me to adopt him. The phone vibrated again. It was Ryan. Baby, the checkup is done. Nothing serious. The doctor wants me to stay in the hospital for observation overnight. You should get some rest early. I looked at the message, the curve of my lips growing colder and colder. What a good actor. I suppressed the complex emotion surging in my heart and replied calmly, all right, then have a good rest. Putting away my phone, I turned to leave. There was no need to stay any longer. The mystery had already been revealed. Just as I reached the door, I ran into the one person I least wanted to see, Ethan Sterling, my ex-husband. He seemed to have just arrived, dressed in a suit and tie, meticulous and out of place in this chaotic atmosphere. When he saw me, his brows immediately furrowed, his gaze sharp as a knife. Evelyn, what are you doing in a place like this? His tone was still that condescending interrogation, as if I were still Mrs. Sterling who needed to report her whereabouts to him. I was too lazy to answer and tried to sidestep him, but he grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. I'm talking to you. Let go. Ethan. I looked at him coldly. We're already divorced. Where I go and what I do is none of your business. None of my business? He sneered, his eyes scanning my somewhat casual outfit before settling on my face. You better explain clearly why you're here. His gaze even went beyond me, searching inside the bar. Did he find out? Or was it just a coincidence? I'm too lazy to guess. The places he touched made me feel a physiological disgust. Explain? What do I need to explain to you? I tried hard to shake off his hand, but he gripped even tighter. A sharp pain came from my wrist. Anger and humiliation surged to my head in an instant. I suddenly raised my other hand, not to hit him, but to bite hard on the back of his hand. Ethan winced in pain and instinctively let go of me. I took the opportunity to step back a few paces, straightened the jacket he had wrinkled, and coldly looked at the clear bite mark on the back of his hand, where blood soon began to seep out. Ethan Sterling, don't touch me with your dirty hands that have touched others. I threw out this sentence and turned away without looking back, leaving him standing there alone, his face ashen. Returning home, I pushed open the door and was surprised to find the living room lights on. Ryan was already back, dressed in clean, soft loungewear, his hair still damp, clearly having just taken a shower. He sat on the sofa, and when he saw me come in, he immediately showed a worried and hurt expression. Evelyn, where have you been? I didn't see you when I got back and was so worried. He hurried over, trying to hug me. I turned aside to avoid him and threw my coat on the rack by the entrance. Just went out for a walk. You drank? He leaned in, sniffing, and went to a bar? His expression grew even more hurt, like a puppy abandoned by its owner. I messaged you saying I was at the hospital. And you? Yeah, I went. I cut him off and walked to the bar to pour myself a glass of water. I was in a bad mood and wanted a drink. He followed me, carefully wrapping his arms around my waist from behind, resting his chin on my neck, his voice muffled and coaxing. Next time you're feeling down, I'll drink with you. Don't go to places like that alone. It's not safe. So that's how it was. The warm breath brushed against my skin, carrying the fresh scent of a shower. If it had been before tonight, I might have softened and thought he was considerate. But now, it just feels disgustingly hypocritical. I didn't push him away. I let him hold me. I even turned around, raised my hand to his cheek, tracing the contours of his young, handsome face with my fingertips. Is that so? I leaned in slightly, close to him, my warm breath brushing his lips. Then next time, will you come with me? Or will you feel unwell again and have to go to the hospital? Ryan's body stiffened noticeably, his eyes flickering as he avoided meeting mine. Evelyn, I smiled, my fingers sliding to the tie of his bathrobe, giving it a gentle tug. The bathrobe loosened, revealing his well-defined chest and abs. A young body, truly attractive. What a pity. The name Ethan Sterling flashed on the screen. Before I could react, Ryan was quick to grab the phone, glanced at the caller ID, frowned, and immediately pressed hang up. Then, he handed the phone back to me, his tone carrying a subtle, barely noticeable possessiveness. It's so late. Why is he still calling? My patience finally ran out. The sharp slap echoed especially loudly in the silent living room. Ryan turned his head away after being slapped, 5 finger marks quickly appearing on his fair cheek. He looked at me in disbelief, his eyes full of shock and hurt. Who allowed you to touch my phone? I withdrew my hand, my voice cold as ice. Ryan, remember your place. Do what you're supposed to do, and don't cross the line. He covered his face, his eyes shifting from shock to grievance, and finally settling into a nearly humble submission. He lowered his head, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry, Evelyn, I was wrong. Looking at him like this, I suddenly felt a bit of irony. Insert memory, plot 9. I found Ryan purely by chance. That night, I had just had a huge fight with Ethan and went out for a drive to clear my mind, only to see Ryan curled up in a corner by the roadside, blood trickling down his forehead. He looked like a freshly graduated college student, clean yet helpless. I took him home and treated his wounds. He said he had fallen out with his family, got beaten up, and had nowhere to go. I didn't ask for details. At that time, I had just gone through a divorce and was in a delicate period of emptiness. The second encounter was near my gallery. He looked even more down and out, as if guided by some unseen force. I said, if you have nowhere to go, you can stay with me for a while. And so, I adopted him just like that. I gave him a salary, not much, but enough for him to live on. He was very smart and learned quickly. From being clumsy at first, he later took care of my daily life and meals in an orderly manner. He would make me breakfast, leave a light on when I came home late, and give me a massage when I was tired. I never doubted his identity, or rather, I simply didn't care about his true identity at all. What I needed was just a young, obedient, good-looking pet who could provide emotional value and fulfill physical needs. He happened to meet all the criteria and was very useful. End of memory. So, at the moment I learned the truth, I didn't feel much anger, because I never truly cared. It was just a transaction where both parties got what they wanted. He sought revenge on Ethan, and I sought convenience and peace of mind. Looking back now, it seems I might have gained a bit more. After all, I never had any illusions about him. The next day, as soon as I arrived at the gallery, I saw Ethan's car parked at the entrance. He was leaning against the car door, his face dark, and when he saw me get out, he walked straight over. Break up with him. He got straight to the point, his tone leaving no room for doubt. Ethan, I told you, my matters have nothing to do with you. I sidestepped him, trying to open the gallery door, but he grabbed my arm, pressing me sharply against the cold door panel. His tall figure loomed over me, exuding a strong sense of oppression. Evelyn, don't test my patience. He lowered his head, closing in on me, his warm breath blowing on my face. That pretty boy, he doesn't deserve you. Cut him off immediately. Doesn't deserve? I laughed, with unabashed sarcasm. Ethan Sterling, have you forgotten how you treated me? At least Ryan is young, obedient, and knows how to make me happy. And you? What have you ever given me? Am I not giving you enough? He seemed hurt by my words, his eyes growing complicated. The position of Mrs. Sterling, a privileged life. Are those things given by you, or by your Sterling family? I interrupted him. Do I care? Let me tell you, Ethan, I'm doing very well now and don't need you to boss me around. His gaze darkened, like the calm before a storm. The next moment, he suddenly lowered his head and kissed me fiercely. It was a kiss full of conquest and punishment, carrying his unique dominance and anger. I struggled desperately, bending my knees to push him away, but he pinned me down firmly with his body. Only after tasting a hint of blood did he slightly loosen his grip. I raised my hand to wipe the blood from the corner of my mouth, where he had bitten too hard just now. Ethan Sterling, are you crazy? I glared at him angrily. I'm going crazy, he growled, his eyes swirling with emotions I couldn't understand. Seeing you with another man, I'm about to lose my mind. Evelyn, come back to me. There's no going back. I looked at him, speaking each word clearly. Since the day you got tangled up with Scarlett O'Hara, there's no going back. Mentioning Scarlett, Ethan's expression changed, and he tried to explain. She and I just what? Just got drunk and ended up in the wrong bed? Just nothing happened? I sneered. Ethan, the same lies. Do you think I'll believe them a second time? Insert flashback. Plot 13. The first time I saw Scarlett O'Hara was at a business cocktail party. She was the daughter of another wealthy family, stunningly beautiful, and standing next to Ethan, they truly looked like what people said, a perfect golden couple. At that time, Ethan had just proposed to me not long ago. He once held me and said, I like you just the way you are, obedient and gentle, like a little kitten, not like some women, fierce and clawing, like a lioness. I knew exactly who he was talking about. Because of that sentence, I willingly put away all my sharp edges and played the little kitten he liked. Until that day, I received a photo sent anonymously. On the messy hotel bed, Ethan and Scarlett were naked, holding each other tightly, sound asleep. I took the photo to Ethan, and he casually explained that he had drunk too much that night and was set up. Nothing happened between him and Scarlett. I chose to believe him, or rather, I forced myself to believe him, but that thorn had already deeply pierced my heart. Insert flashback. Plot 14 and 15. The real irreparable rift happened at an important celebration banquet at Ethan's company. Scarlett was there too, wearing a dazzling red dress, instantly becoming the center of attention. She pretended to come over and greet me, linking her arm with mine, acting as affectionately as if she were my close best friend. I found an excuse to go to the balcony. There were several pots of flowers on the balcony, one of which was a precious ghost orchid left by my mother. I had specially brought it to decorate the banquet. I was carefully tending to the orchid's leaves when Scarlett followed me over. She stood beside me, looking at the ghost orchid, a faint, barely noticeable flicker of jealousy in her eyes. Then, she picked up the small pair of scissors left by the gardener, pretending to admire the plant, but her fingers accidentally moved. With a snap, the longest flower stem of the ghost orchid broke off in response. Oh no, I'm sorry, Evelyn, she immediately exclaimed, her face showing just the right amount of innocence and apology. I didn't mean to. My hand slipped. At that moment, all the grievances, restraint, and anger instantly broke through the dam of reason. I looked at the broken flower stem, then at her hypocritical face, said nothing, and slapped her with a raised hand. The crisp sound instantly silenced the surroundings. Everyone looked over, whispering, their eyes filled with confusion and accusation. Ethan came rushing over at the sound, and seeing the scene before him, without asking any questions, grabbed my wrist and forcibly dragged me back to the bedroom. Evelyn, what on earth are you crazy about? He shouted, his face full of anger and impatience. She deliberately cut off Mom's orchid. I cried out, trying to explain. It's just a pot of flowers, isn't it? I'll compensate you with 10 pots. Scarlett said she didn't do it on purpose. Why won't you believe it? He didn't believe me and just thought I was making a fuss. At that moment, I completely gave up. The next day, I filed for divorce. End of memory. Ethan, it's over between us. I pushed him away, composed myself. Who I'm with is none of your business. Take care of yourself, and your Scarlett too. I opened the gallery door and walked in, shutting him out. After the divorce, I moved out of the Sterling family's dazzling prison. Using the inheritance left by my parents, I took over this gallery. With a good eye and connections, the gallery thrived, earning enough for me to support myself, and even to keep a canary like Ryan. Ethan probably didn't expect that after leaving him, I not only didn't fall into despair but actually lived more freely. He started to panic. The certainty he had during the divorce that you can't live without me disappeared, replaced by repeated calls, gifts, and even showing up at the gallery to confront me, saying regretful things and begging me to get back together. But I was very clear that what he missed was nothing more than the little cat Evelyn who always obeyed him and waited obediently at home for his return. Just then, my phone rang at an inopportune moment. Not the current me, who can bite, resist, and no longer regards him as the whole world. One night a few days later, Ryan suddenly suggested taking me to a party. Evelyn, it's the Zhao couple's golden wedding anniversary party. Many celebrities will attend, he said cautiously while giving me a shoulder massage. I want to take you with me. The Zhao couple are titans in the art collecting world, and their party is indeed a great opportunity to expand one's network. But when I looked into Ryan's eyes, which sparkled with anticipation and a certain calculation, I immediately guessed his intention. Taking me to such an event was nothing more than to show off to everyone that he had won over Ethan Sterling's ex-wife, and to swagger in front of Ethan. Perhaps he also wants to take this opportunity to confess his identity to me. After all, he can't keep being the heir of Zenith Corp a secret forever. Not interested. I declined lightly. Ryan looked a bit disappointed but still tried to persuade me. Come on, Evelyn, just keep me company. Besides, there are some things I want to tell you officially that day. Smack. Oh, what things? I pretended to be curious. He hesitated for a moment, then shook his head. You'll know when the time comes. Give me a chance, okay? We'll see, I replied dismissively. Ryan went to the party alone that night. I could imagine his disappointment and unease at that moment. I leisurely took a bath at home, then spent 2 hours carefully getting dressed up. When I appeared in Chairman Zhao and his wife's resplendent banquet hall, dressed in a bespoke evening gown with exquisite makeup, I successfully captured everyone's attention, including Ryan, who was chatting and laughing with others. When he saw me, the shock on his face was obvious. His eyes widened, and he nearly dropped the champagne glass in his hand. I walked elegantly through the crowd in high heels and went straight up to him. Surprise. I raised my glass to him, my smile bright. Without me, isn't the party a bit boring? Ryan opened his mouth, and after a long moment found his voice. Evelyn, why are you here? What, not welcome? I raised an eyebrow. No, I'm so happy, he hurriedly said, his eyes full of the joy of something lost and found, reaching out to wrap his arm around my waist. I deftly dodged, my smile unchanged, but my voice carried a trace of icy mockery. Ryan Thompson, heir to Zenith Corp, am I right? The smile on Ryan's face froze instantly, his pupils contracting sharply. You found out? Was it difficult? I chuckled lightly. A little digging would reveal it. You got close to me to get back at Ethan Sterling, right? How does it feel to steal your rival's ex-wife? Does it give you a sense of accomplishment? His face turned pale as he desperately tried to explain. Evelyn, listen to me. At first I really did have that idea, but later I really fallen in love with me? I interrupted him, my tone full of contempt. Ryan, do you even believe that nonsense yourself? Just then, a cold voice cut in, Ryan Thompson, stay away from her. Ethan appeared behind us without us noticing, his face so dark it seemed to drip water. He looked at me and Ryan, his gaze as sharp as a knife. Oh wow, the male leads are all here. The show is about to begin. Ryan saw Ethan and instinctively straightened his back, a hint of provocation flashing in his eyes. Ethan Sterling, the matter between Evelyn and me is none of your business. Your business? Ethan sneered, turning his gaze to me, with a trace of hurt and accusation. Evelyn, tell me, what is going on here? I ignored Ethan's questioning and instead stepped forward, deliberately linking my arm with Ryan's in an intimate gesture. As you can see, Ethan, I said to him, smiling even more brightly, Ryan is mine now. What? Do you have a problem with that? I clearly saw Ethan's fist clench instantly, veins bulging on the back of his hand. He stared fiercely at me holding Ryan's arm, his eyes almost shooting fire. Say that again? His voice was hoarse from extreme anger. I said. I deliberately paused, savoring the expression of his impending loss of control. Ryan is my canary. I keep him. The moment I said the word canary, not only was Ethan stunned, but Ryan also stiffly turned his head, looking at me in disbelief. Some guests nearby who had been eavesdropping let out faint gasps. Ethan's face changed from ashen blue to pale white. He seemed to have all his strength drained away, took a step back, and murmured, Canary, Evelyn, how could you? Why can't I? I released Ryan, turned to Ethan, my smile unchanged. You can keep a kitten by your side just to get back at me. Why can't I have a young, obedient canary to amuse myself? Ryan's expression was even uglier than Ethan's. He probably didn't expect that I not only knew his identity and purpose but would also define our relationship with such humiliating words. Evelyn, Ethan suddenly stepped forward, grabbed my shoulder with a grip so strong it felt like he wanted to crush my bones. Tell me, who do you really love? Me, or this pretty boy? His eyes were bloodshot, filled with madness and unwillingness. I looked at him, then glanced at Ryan beside me, whose face was just as grim, and suddenly found it all incredibly ridiculous. Love? I gently pulled my hand away from Ethan's, glanced around the banquet hall at the various men, then spoke slowly, my voice low but clear enough for those nearby to hear. None of them love. Ethan, you're too old, overly controlling, and you like to lie. Ryan, I turned to him, my eyes filled with disdain. You're too inexperienced. Your acting is poor, and you like to act smart. Then, I casually pointed to a well-mannered middle-aged gentleman not far away. That gentleman looks nice, mature and steady. I also pointed to another young artist. That young guy is quite energetic too. My words left both Ethan and Ryan completely stunned, their faces showing identical shock and embarrassment. Just then, a delicate voice sounded, Evelyn, how can you say that about Ethan? He, Scarlett O'Hara, dressed in a sexy evening gown, walked over gracefully, trying to take Ethan's arm, but Ethan subtly dodged her. A trace of embarrassment flashed across her face. Then she turned to me, her eyes filled with schadenfreude and disdain. Sister, even if you're divorced, you shouldn't degrade yourself like this, right? Finding a pretty boy like that, TSK, really lowering your value. Women, after all, are just accessories to men, without the title of Mrs. Sterling. You are nothing. She thought she could anger me? How naive. I hadn't even spoken when Ethan and Ryan almost simultaneously spoke up. Shut up. Ethan coldly scolded Scarlett. You're not allowed to talk about Evelyn like that. Ryan also glared at her angrily. Oh, this is rare. Both men are actually defending me? I ignored the undercurrent swirling among the three of them and walked straight toward the hosts of the banquet, the Zhao couple. Mr. Zhao, Mrs. Zhao, happy golden anniversary. I presented the gift I had prepared in advance, a painting by a renowned artist. Oh, Evelyn, you're too kind. Mrs. Zhao warmly took my hand. We're so happy you could come. Your gallery has been thriving lately. That last exhibition you held was really impressive. It's all thanks to you, Mrs. Zhao. I chatted with them, laughing and talking, showcasing my success and connections as an independent gallery owner. Scarlett tried to edge closer to join the conversation, hoping to get close to Director Zhao, but was subtly interrupted by him and ended up empty-handed, having to retreat to the side in frustration. Halfway through the banquet, a child running around in the dance floor accidentally stepped on Scarlett's long skirt. Scarlett screamed, lost her balance, and was about to fall. I was the closest to her, so I immediately kindly stepped forward and reached out to support her. The moment she leaned towards me, I pretended to support her with effort, but my fingers discreetly pressed a small piece of colorful clay, which I had prepared in advance in my pocket, firmly into her carefully styled hair near the nape of her neck. "Are you okay, Scarlett?" I steadied her, a concerned smile on my face. "Thank you." Scarlett, still shaken, adjusted her dress, completely unaware that there was something new in her hair. After a while, perhaps someone had reminded her, or she sensed it herself. Scarlett's face turned pale as she hurried towards the dressing room. I held my wine glass and staggered after her. In the dressing room, Scarlett was facing the mirror, trying to get that sticky, brightly colored clay out of her hair, but the clay was tangled in her strands, making it worse the more she tried. I leaned against the doorframe, watching her disheveled appearance, pretending to be drunkenly dazed as I walked in. "Scarlett, what's wrong? Your hair looks a bit messy." She saw me and said irritably, "Isn't it because of some brat? Let me take a look." I stepped forward and picked up a small pair of scissors from the dressing table. "Oh dear, it seems really stuck. The lighting here isn't very good. I can't see clearly." Squinting, I held the scissors and gestured at the back of her head, my wrist accidentally flicking. A strand of hair mixed with colorful clay, quite long, fell off with a snap. Scarlett felt a chill on her scalp, turned around sharply, and looked in disbelief at the scissors in my hand and the lock of hair on the floor, then screamed, "Evelyn, what are you doing?" "Oh," I blinked, looking innocent, even a bit silly from the drunkenness. "Cut it off? Isn't it better this way? More symmetrical?" I walked out of the makeup room, and sure enough, Ethan and Ryan were waiting at the door, obviously having heard Scarlett's scream. Scarlett rushed out, covering her hair that had been cut into a mess, pointing at me, crying breathlessly, "Ethan, look at her. She deliberately cut my hair. She's crazy." Ethan looked at me with a complicated expression. Ryan frowned, as if he wanted to say something. I didn't wait for them to speak and calmly admitted, "I cut it." Then, tilting my head, I looked at Scarlett with a smile both innocent and cruel. "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" Scarlett trembled with anger. Ethan was silent for a few seconds, but in the end, he just sighed and said to me, "Evelyn, stop making a fuss." His tone even carried a hint of helpless indulgence. Ryan also stepped forward, standing in front of me, and said to Scarlett, "Hair will grow back after being cut. Miss Scarlett, there's no need to make such a big deal out of it." Scarlett looked at the two men protecting me, so angry she was speechless, and finally stomped her foot and ran away crying. I looked at Ethan, and he was looking at me too. At that moment, I clearly felt a belated but long-corrupted affection. Unfortunately, it was too late. I no longer wanted it. After the party ended, I went home and the first thing I did was pack up all of Ryan's things and throw them outside the door. Then, I had someone change the locks. Early the next morning, Ryan indeed appeared at the door, his suit a bit wrinkled, with dark circles under his eyes, looking haggard and pitiful. "Evelyn, listen to me explain." He pounded on the door, his voice pleading, "I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. Okay? I really love you." I didn't even open the door. I directly called the property management. "There's a man harassing me at the entrance. Please handle it." Listening to Ryan's excuses outside the door and the security guards driving him away fading into the distance, I leaned against the door and reflected on Ryan as a person. Hypocritical, childish, and self-righteous. What he thought was deep affection and calculation was, in my eyes, nothing more than a clumsy performance. A few days later, the gallery ran into some trouble. The assistant called anxiously, saying that the contracted artist we had planned to feature as the main highlight for next month's gallery anniversary suddenly got involved in a scandal, causing their reputation to plummet. Now it's too late even to terminate the contract, and the anniversary exhibition is on the verge of falling through. We must immediately find a reputable artist with availability and a fitting style to save the event. The assistant's voice was almost in tears. I hung up the phone and frowned in thought. Finding such a suitable artist on short notice was not easy. I scrolled through my phone contacts, my finger pausing on the name Ethan Sterling. After a moment, I dialed his number. "Evelyn?" Ethan's voice carried a faint, barely noticeable surprise. "Ethan, do me a favor," I said directly. Do you know the painter Julian Gray? I want to invite him to my gallery's anniversary exhibition, but I don't have his contact information. Julian Gray is a rising abstract painter in recent years, with a unique style and great potential, but he is low-key and rarely participates in commercial activities. I know Ethan has collected his paintings, so maybe there's a way. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the phone. You want me to help you get in touch with Julian Gray? Yes. What are the terms? He asked. No conditions, I said flatly, just a request. Of course, if you're unwilling, then forget it. I'll help you, he said immediately, his tone even a bit urgent. But Evelyn, can we meet in person? We can discuss the art exhibition over the phone. I refused directly. As for anything else, I don't think we have anything to talk about. Ethan, I interrupted him, if you want to use this chance to talk about getting back together, there's no need. If you're willing to help, I'm grateful. If not, I'll find another way. He was silent for a long time, then finally compromised. All right, I'll help you get in touch, but after the exhibition ends, you have to have a meal with me. We'll see, I replied ambiguously to brush it off. Ethan was very efficient. In less than 2 days, he helped me contact Julian Gray and even persuaded him to participate in my gallery's anniversary exhibition. The exhibition went on as scheduled and was very successful. Julian Gray's works attracted a lot of attention, and the gallery's reputation and sales reached a new level. During this time, Ethan's harassment never stopped. He sent me good morning and good night messages punctually every day, occasionally sharing photos of his abs after working out, trying to tempt me with his good looks. Ryan wasn't idle either. Somehow, he found out my preferences and kept sending me various exquisite meals and desserts through delivery, accompanied by all kinds of affectionate little cards. I accepted all of these without hesitation. The abs photos were just for looking at, and good food shouldn't be wasted. But emotional responses? Sorry, none. With the gallery matter settled, I finally have the energy to deal with Scarlett O'Hara. The clay and scissors that day were just appetizers. The real revenge is only just beginning. I hired a professional private detective to dig up everything about Scarlett's past. Secretly married for years but always maintaining a single persona, her cosmetics brand involved in false advertising and even cancer risks, an affair with Ethan Sterling during the marriage, and of course, that bed photo I've treasured for a long time. I anonymously packaged and sent these carefully compiled dirt to several gossip media outlets known for their knack for rumors, and also hired online trolls to stir up trouble on Twitter and Instagram. Overnight, topics like hashtag Scarlett O'Hara's secret marriage, hashtag Scarlett brand causes cancer, hashtag Scarlett interferes in Sterling's marriage hashtag exploded across the internet. That high-definition, uncensored bed photo was the ultimate proof, nailing Scarlett and Ethan to the pillar of shame. A tsunami of public opinion struck. Scarlett's public image completely collapsed. Her cosmetics brand was boycotted, and partners quickly terminated their contracts. Her secretly married husband of many years, likely someone from the elite circles, swiftly distanced himself from her and initiated divorce proceedings. The stock price of Sterling Enterprises was also affected, plummeting for several consecutive days. Ethan was overwhelmed, not only dealing with the company crisis but also facing the media's inquiries into his private life. He kept calling me, but I refused every call and eventually blocked him outright. As for Scarlett, I don't know where she got my new number, but she called and hurled insults at me. I patiently listened to her hysterical, incoherent curses, calling me vicious and despicable. Hearing her frantic voice, I even found myself somewhat enjoying it. Finished scolding? After she calmed down a bit, I slowly spoke. Scarlett, we're just getting started. A few days later, Scarlett asked to meet me at the window seat of the cafe. She looked much more haggard, and even her carefully applied makeup couldn't hide the exhaustion and bitterness in her eyes. Evelyn, you're truly vicious. She gritted her teeth as soon as she sat down. I admit defeat, but why did you have to drag Ethan into this? Sterling's stock price plummeted. How does that benefit him? Benefits? I stirred the coffee in my cup, chuckling softly. Seeing the two of you ruined together is the greatest benefit. You, she was choked with anger. You clearly know Ethan only has feelings for you. Aren't you afraid he'll hate you for what you're doing? Hate me? I looked up at her. Whether he hates me or not, I don't care. But you, Scarlett, after all your scheming, what have you really gained? Her face turned deathly pale, and she was speechless. She was probably still waiting waiting for Ethan to appear and fix everything for her like he had countless times before. Sure enough, it wasn't long before Ethan arrived. He looked tired too, but still maintained a calm exterior. He didn't look at Scarlett and walked straight up to me. "Evelyn, I know it was you," he said hoarsely. "I'm begging you, issue a statement to clarify my relationship with Scarlett. Just say that photo was doctored or it was a misunderstanding. Sterling is going through a critical transition and can't take any more bad press. Clarify?" I looked at him, finding it ridiculous. "Ethan, why do you think I would help you?" "Just because." He paused, looking at me with a complicated gaze. "Just because the person I love is you. It's always been only you." "Love?" I repeated the word, as if savoring a joke. "Ethan Sterling, your love is too cheap. Besides, I don't love you anymore." "No, you love me." He suddenly became agitated, grabbing my shoulders. "You're just angry, taking revenge. Evelyn, look me in the eyes and tell me you don't love me anymore." His grip was strong, pain radiating from my shoulders. I frowned, leaned back with my body, pretending to be pushed off balance by him, and bumped into the chair beside me, making a dull thud. "Ah!" I let out a soft cry, covering my shoulder, my face showing just the right amount of pain and grievance. Scarlett, who had been watching coldly all along, saw this scene and a trace of satisfaction flashed in her eyes. Ethan obviously didn't expect me to fall. He was stunned for a moment and instinctively loosened his grip. I steadied myself, shook off his hand, took a few steps back, and kept my distance from him. "Ethan Sterling," I looked at him, my eyes cold and my tone resolute. "We're done and dusted. From now on, don't bother me again." I picked up my bag, turned around, and walked away, leaving my final words lingering in the air. "Ex-husband, never to see you again." That night, the media I had arranged released photos and news about the cafe. The photos were taken from a tricky angle, only capturing Ethan grabbing my shoulder, me falling to the ground, and Scarlett watching coldly from the side. My face was blurred, but Ethan and Scarlett's faces were clearly visible. The news headline was even more sensational. "Shocking. President Sterling violently assaults his ex-wife to protect his mistress." This stirred up a huge storm. Ethan and Scarlett, already at the center of controversy, were once again pushed to the top of trending searches. Netizens overwhelmingly sympathized with the victim ex-wife, harshly condemning Ethan as a scumbag and Scarlett as a malicious mistress. I posted a timely update on social media, without naming anyone specifically, just sharing some reflections on divorce, independence, and female empowerment. Only by leaving the wrong person can you meet a better version of yourself. Grateful for the experiences that have helped me grow. The comment section quickly filled with a flood of supportive and encouraging voices. Many women who had gone through similar experiences left messages, sharing their stories. I carefully read those comments and even used my connections to provide job opportunities or legal assistance to several women in need. From their stories, I saw countless versions of my former self and became even more resolute in my current choices. On the day Sterling's stock price hit rock bottom and Scarlett vanished without a trace, my gallery held a special charity art exhibition. The theme of the exhibition was, "The Little Matter of Divorce." All the works on display came from female artists who bravely walked out of failed marriages and reclaimed themselves. They used their brushes to depict pain, struggle, transformation, and hope. The exhibition caused a huge response. Many media outlets reported on it, praising it as a powerful and resonant celebration of female-themed art. On the day of the exhibition opening, an unexpected guest appeared. Ryan appeared at the gallery entrance, holding a large bouquet of bright red roses, dressed in an elegant suit. In front of everyone, he walked up to me and knelt down on one knee. "Evelyn," he looked at me with deep affection, his eyes full of regret and love. "I know I was wrong before. I shouldn't have deceived you or used you, but please believe me, I have truly fallen in love with you. Ethan is out of the picture. Will you come back to me? I will spend my whole life making it up to you." He probably thought that once Ethan fell, his chance would come. How laughably naive. Just then, another unexpected person appeared. A young woman dressed magnificently, exuding a powerful aura, walked straight up to Ryan with several bodyguards. "Ryan Thompson." The woman's voice was icy cold, filled with undisguised anger. Another sharp slap. The woman slapped Ryan hard, the force so strong that Ryan's face quickly swelled and reddened again. "You bastard. How dare you be involved with that woman behind my back?" The woman pointed at me, then turned to Ryan, scolding angrily. We're getting engaged next month. How dare you keep a woman on the side? Ryan covered his face, shocked as he looked at the fiancé who had suddenly appeared, then hurriedly defended himself. No, darling, listen to me. It's over between me and her. The one I love is you. Oh? You just said you loved me a moment ago? Watching this farce, I thought it was about time to bring it to an end. Miss, I stepped forward and looked at the fierce woman, speaking calmly. I think you might be mistaken. The woman raised an eyebrow at me. My relationship with Mr. Ryan Thompson is not what you think. I paused, glanced around at the crowd watching the spectacle, and spoke clearly. He's not supporting me. I'm the one supporting him. To be precise, he is my canary in a coal mine. As for why he approached me, I took out my phone and pressed play. The phone clearly played the recording of the conversation that night in the bar between Ryan and the man in the floral shirt. Evelyn? Heh, not bad. Mainly to spite that hypocrite Ethan Sterling. Zenith Corp and Sterling Enterprises have been fighting for so long. Your move to cut off their lifeline is ruthless. Stealing the ex-wife of the rival, Ethan's face must have turned green, right? He deserves it. Just like how Sterling snatched our Zenith project back then. I'll make sure he feels just as miserable. The recording echoed through the silent gallery, and everyone heard it clearly. Ryan's face instantly turned as pale as paper. He looked at me in disbelief, his lips trembling, but he couldn't utter a single word. After listening to the recording, the lady betrothed to him transformed her anger into utter disdain and disgust. She looked at Ryan as if he were trash. Ryan Thompson, our engagement ends here, she said coldly, then turned and left with her bodyguards without looking back. I walked up to Ryan, who was completely stunned, and looked at his swollen cheeks. I slapped him again with the back of my hand. The recording, does it sound good? I looked at him, my eyes devoid of any warmth. Now, take your rose and get out of my sight. Ryan staggered back a few steps and, under the contemptuous gazes of everyone, fled the gallery in a sorry state. The gallery returned to calm. I stood in the center of the exhibition, looking at those powerful paintings, my heart clear and bright. From Ethan's control and betrayal, to Scarlett's hypocrisy and jealousy, and then Ryan's deceit and exploitation, I walked through it all, scarred but reborn. I once thought love was sacrifice, obedience, and playing the role he liked. I once believed that marriage was a reliance, a harbor, a promise to entrust my whole life to, but reality slapped me hard across the face. It turns out that women do not need to be disciplined or defined. We can freely choose to love or not love, to hate or not hate. We can fight back against harm in our own way, strive for happiness, and define our own lives. Just like these paintings, even after being shattered, they can be pieced back together into a unique beauty and strength. As for those who do not know how to cherish, let them burn alone in the crematorium of regret and pain. As for me, I will carry my gallery, my career, and my life toward a broader world.